Oh man. Sunday morning, am I right? Let's see if this comes to life. Let's see who comes to life first. I know we're probably already live, but you know what I mean. There we go. YouTube's coming. There's the YouTube. All right, there's the YouTube. Now, Rockfin, where are you at? Rockfin definitely lost today. There's Rockfin, but Rockfin definitely lost. It's not a competition, but I always keep track of it. I'm like, who's going to be first, YouTube or Rockfin? Twitter is always first, but we're not on Twitter today because it's the patron stream. Um, but YouTube definitely won today. Rockfin was in second. They take turns. They alternate. What's up, everybody? Sunday morning. Am I right? How are you? Welcome to the patron stream. This is the stream where I respond directly to the patrons and the Rockfin Premium members. And I'm a few minutes late today. If you saw the schedule, I am a little late, and I'm sorry for that. But I had some stuff to do this morning because I got some plans in a little bit. So I had to get some stuff done before I can leave the house today. And yeah, so that's what's going on there. And I hope you have some exciting plans today. I hope you are going to do something awesome. And it's going to be incredible. And it's good to see everybody. And thank you for starting your holiday weekend, or well, I guess continuing your holiday weekend with me. And I hope you have a cool holiday weekend plan. Which, by the way, quick announcement: there will be no regular Get Your News On with Ron stream tomorrow. That's Monday. There will be no regular stream tomorrow for Memorial Day. I'm gonna go get some beach time and kind of just relax, work on some other things. But we will be back with the regular Get Your News On with Ron streams on Tuesday. I was like, it's going to be a hard time trying to find a guest on Monday. And yeah, so no stream Monday. We'll be back Tuesday. And yeah, so I'll see you for a regular stream then. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, you know what, I would love to become a patron because, again, this is the patron stream. It goes out to everybody, everybody can watch it. But if you want to see the replay, you got to be a Rockfin Premium member or a patron. And how can you become a patron if you're not already? Patreon.com/RomPlacone. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of fun, exclusive perks, including the replay of this stream and all the patron stream. I do a Zoom show just for patrons once a week where I work on some new jokes, play some songs, have a good time. We chat it up. And I will make you a theme song. Have you ever wanted your own theme song? Now you can get one. I'll make you one. And that's all for a Give What You Can level. If you're on stable ground financially, if you're not, don't worry about it. There's all kinds of things you can do to support this show and all the shows you love that don't cost a dime. Like these videos, share, make sure you're subscribed, tell your friends, share it on your socials. That helps out a lot, and that doesn't cost you a dime. But if you're on stable ground, you got a little bit to spare. Patreon.com/RomPlacone. Even $1 a month goes a long way. And I do not have tiers, TIER, on my Patreon. My Patreon is pay what you can. So everyone, no matter what level you give at, no matter what amount you give at, gets all the same stuff. All right. Huh? Huh? The spiel is over. The spiel is over. And happy holiday weekend. I was at the beach earlier. I've been doing that thing. I'm not a morning person, and I never will be, but I will on occasion kind of start my day exercising and going to the beach. Um, and I like it. I like it. I can't do it every day, nor am I a morning person. I mean, sometimes I'm out there, and it's not like we're talking super early here. We're talking like after 9, which to some people, to morning people, that's like not morning at all. But to non-morning people, that's freaking morning. And I'm definitely not a morning person, but what I am is like a hey, sleep, whatever person. You know what I mean? If I feel rested, cool. I don't care what time it is. If I feel rested and it's 7, I'll just get up. If I feel rested and it's way later than that, all right. And it varies. Sometimes it's way later than that. Sometimes it's early. And I'm just like, all right, this is what I'm doing. Because I don't, my wife and I, we have these debates. You guys know my wife is a big sleep enthusiast. That's a thing, I guess. I'm not. I say to her, I'm like, look, Someday we're all going to be dead. We will have plenty of time to sleep. You'll have so much time to sleep. So much time to sleep when you're dead. I'm alive and I like it. I like being alive. The world has its problems and a lot of them. And sometimes, oftentimes, it's very freaking frustrating and it makes me angry even. But you know what? Deep down, I still love the freaking world. I love participating in it. I try to make it a better place to the best of my ability, and that's all any of us can ever do. You try your best and you let life in. And I think that the planet is pretty freaking great. That's why I think we should take care of it. Cuz it's not going anywhere, but we might. So anyway, I don't know how that's directly connected to me not being a big fan of sleep, but in my brain it is. I'm like Lucy. Lucy's asleep, by the way. Lucy will wake me up. She'll be like, "It's time," and I'll be like, "I agree with you. I just agree with her." She goes, "It's time," and I say, "Sure," and I get up, and then she starts napping, and I don't. But what are you gonna do? She's asleep right now. She's taking a nap. I gave her her treat early today because I'm gonna be out today. Gonna be out today, doing some activities. And this is the first time I've really had like a place to go in a while. I don't remember the last time. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't know when the last time was where I really had a destination for leisure. It's been a while. It has been a while. And they were few and far between the past year and change. So but I'm excited. I'm excited to get out and about today. But so I was like, well, I have to do everything first. Anyway, let's get to what the patrons are saying. First, we start with Nina. Nina, what's up? How is Ottawa? And by the way, I can't wait to see you in Ottawa. And I'm probably going to be doing that in the summer of 2022. If all goes as planned. And by the way, for everyone in the United States, we should have a lot of tour dates to be announcing soon. We're working on it. We're still fine tuning the details. But if all goes as planned and the world continues to reopen, we're going to be on tour. But when I say we, that means myself and Graham Elwood. We're going to be on tour a lot this fall, and we're going to be making up all the tour dates we missed, or at least most and something comparable. Some cities, venues have closed, and it's been a hard time finding an alternative venue. So it might not be exactly the exact same as what we had planned in 2020, but we're going to do our best to make up every single tour date, or if we can't make that exact city up, having something comparable for you. And most of it is going to be done this year. Some of it might be done next year. And the reason for that is we're planning on doing Canada in 2022. So some of the most northern places we might just tack on to Canada instead of doing this time around for logistics purposes. But so I'm looking at you, Portland, Maine. I'm looking at you, Burlington, Vermont. It might not be until summer of 2022, but we're coming at you. And we're coming at you as quickly and as safely as we can. And that goes for everyone. But anyway, Nina, I hope to see you in Ottawa when the Canadian tour happens, which hopefully 2021, we make up a lot of the United States stuff from 2020. And then 2022, Canada is on the short list. Anyway, life is meaningless. This is from Nina. Life is meaningless, say philosophers in a 70-page study. Lanira hears often from students that they consider themselves not religious but spiritual. It strikes me that people are always looking for something to hold on to. Tarot cards, the luck of the stars. She criticizes some non-nihilist philosophers for spreading the message that the best way to respond to a sense of meaninglessness is to tap into non-human sources, such as a sacred entity or magical realm. The problem is egotism, Lanira said. I think this is from the article itself. Our attitudes of wanting to have an authority, controlling and giving us answers rather than being responsible for our own lives. Interesting. And then you mentioned key passages around the problem of egotism, subtitle just under the Lebowski movie pick. All right, so let's go to this. Let's see what you're setting up here. So this is from the CBC, because again, you're up in the Canada. Good news for nihilists, question mark. Life is meaningless after all, say philosophers. But they're saying that's not all bad news. In embarking on a second year of shutdowns, restrictions, health risks, etc., a new report by philosophers in Britain and Australia may offer a double whammy of encouragement. First, you're absolutely right, life is meaningless. Second, this fact poses no significant problems or threats. In fact, there are good things that might come out of it. I think that shift in perspective will just open a lot more philosophical and practical possibilities for people. I'm passionate about nihilism. Oh, okay. So Tartaglia says here, this is a British philosopher. I'm passionate about nihilism. It's so badly misunderstood. Okay, so that's interesting because, and Nina, maybe this is part of the reason you shared this. Um, I have mentioned many times I'm not a big fan of nihilism. Maybe it's because people have different takes on nihilism than I do, and I need to expand my horizon on what nihilism really means. Because I agree with what I've seen so far in this, that life is meaningless. Well, that can have an encouraging connotation that, you know what, at the end of the day, we're just trying our best. It's important that we just try to be good stewards, enjoy our time here, and realize that we're just a blip in the big picture of things. Um, in fact, I'll paraphrase Lee Camp. I'm sure a lot of you know Lee, funny guy, great dude, wonderful show, Redacted Tonight and Moment of Clarity. Um, one of his closers, I don't think this is his closer anymore, but it was his closer a while back. So credit to him. He had a kind of a sincere statement to end his show, and he said, "Maybe if we all realized we were nothing, we could be something." I think that's beautifully put. And again, credit to Lee Camp. To Lee Camp. If you're going to quote another comedian, that's fine, but you have to give them credit. I can't just say that and pass it off as my own. But if I say, "Hey, comedian X said this," then it's okay. So I'm saying Lee Camp said this. Who said that? Lee Camp. All right. I'm just making sure. It's an important thing in our world that if we're going to quote other comedians, we give them credit, you know. But and I'm not doing a joke of his. It's a statement he made. But anyway, I'm over explaining it now. Uh, but Lee Camp, he said it, maybe if we all realized we were nothing, we could be something. And I think that's kind of the gist of this. But to me, nihilism was always nothing is held dear. There's nothing to celebrate. We shouldn't see any goodness in creation. We shouldn't see any goodness in literature. Nothing should be put on any type of pedestal. And that I disagree with. There are things in this world that I celebrate very much, that I hold, that I hold in importance. You know, music that I love, that's important to me. Family, friends, loved ones, just the concept of love in general. I see goodness and value in that. Now, it's one thing to make deities out of these things. I don't do that, but there's a big range of space between acknowledging something as a deity and worshiping it and being a nihilist about it and saying it has no value. And I think most people land in between, and that's where I land. So, but let's see what this thing's saying about nihilism. Nihilist viewpoints begin with a refusal to believe that human life draws meaning from a greater context, such as the will or purpose of a divine being. Okay, well, that I agree with. Or another external force, such as fate or moral goodness, or any measure of the worth and quality of human life. That's where you lose me. You know, I mean, if you're going to talk about like you shouldn't need to find your purpose in a divine being, I agree with that. I personally do not have religious beliefs. I am by definition an atheist. I don't look down on other people who aren't, but I don't think that I need any supreme being in my life to try to be a morally just person and to see value in life. I don't know what happens after I die. So I want to make the most of my time here. I don't need some promise of eternal life to try to be a good person. You know, I don't need that. So that part I agree with. But when you go like oh, there's no measure of worth and quality of human life, fate, moral goodness, that's where you lose me. No, I do think there are qualities of human life that should be valued, that should be taught and passed down. It's kind of like one of those things, like when you have a kid, right? If you have a kid, one of the things you teach them are things about life that you celebrate and you pass that on to them. whether it's going on a hike or experiencing nature or going to a baseball game or a soccer game or a hockey, whatever it is. Music, part of the reason I developed a love for music is because my parents loved music and they introduced me to classic rock when I was a kid, and I really liked it. And then I discovered music on my own, music that they didn't know about that I discovered because I started growing up and exploring the world that, as much as I could as a 9-year-old. And I started developing ideas on my so you get the point. Um so anyway, let's go on here. I'm curious. All right, so in some interpretations, a purely nihilistic outlook disdains any attempt to attribute value or meaning to anything at all. So that's my interpretation. That's always been my take on nihilism. I studied nihilism a little bit in college. That was kind of my takeaway from it, where it's like you don't put any value or meaning to anything at all, which I disagree with. There's a lot of things I value. I value everyone who's watching this show right now. I appreciate that you make this show possible. I value um I value being able to do this show. I value the fact that I'm able to do this. Anyway. So such views traditionally receive bad press and blunt condemnation from thought leaders around the world. During the pandemic, critics on the political left and right have targeted nihilism as a root cause. Okay. So, all right. So here's their fighting back for nihilism. And the Guardian, blah, 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 blah. Ideas host a constant barrage of anti-nihilist sentiment from acquiescence and the media helped prompt her to fight back on nihilism's behalf. Defending it really makes me feel like the madman in Nietzsche's The Gay Science. You've come too early. It's not time. Don't rock the boat. But we think, oh, right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what's the case for nihilism? The philosopher's case depends on separating the premise that life has no cosmic meaning from the many negative conclusions people tend to draw as a consequence. Tartaglia points to a common fear that a person who considers life ultimately meaningless will embark on a destructive rejection of life itself, potentially endangering others or at least falling into despair. So, this philosopher, Tartaglia, makes the case that this is a misunderstanding. The other one is that you concern yourself with trivia because you failed to see the important things in life. He often sees the latter fear expressed in relation to the time people spend online. Okay. The most monstrous nihilists in pop culture include the Joker in The Dark Knight. He ridicules moral codes and rules as groundless. Tartaglia says that such figures, such as a Joker, might correctly be described as nihilists to the extent that they reject the idea of an overall meaning for their actions coming from some non-human source. But I don't see any reason, Tartaglia says, that you would push around destroying people and holding knives to throat. He's a particularly evil nihilist. So what's the case this philosopher's making? No, other nihilists aren't evil. They just don't give a fuck about anything. Is that the case? I'm not being sold on nihilism yet, to be honest with you. So non-nihilists, they're saying that it's egotism, our attitudes of wanting to have an authority controlling and giving us answers rather than being responsible for our own lives. You can want to have responsibility for your own life and not be a nihilist. It's not one or the other. Just not wanting an authority controlling and giving us answers doesn't automatically make you a nihilist. There's space in between those two things. Despite her passion for defending nihilism, she considers the central point about life's meaninglessness to be neutral rather than good news or bad news from humankind. She hopes more people will simply outgrow their sense that the cosmic meaninglessness of their lives poses a threat. In her view, life does not need a larger context of meaning to add weight to a private or social sense of morality or joie de vivre. These things can be understood in a familiar, ordinary sense, like you need to take responsibility for your dog, you need to not cheat on your partner, or you need to protest horrendous genocide. All those things are part of the human condition. Well, then you're valuing something. So my response, I was like, well, how you're valuing something? You're valuing. I mean, I get the point she's making, but you're now attributing value, which I would say makes you not a nihilist. I would say that a nihilist wouldn't be out there protesting horrendous acts of genocide because they would say people die every day. People die every day. Someday I'm going to die. I'm not going to stop anything. So I don't. I'm not sold on nihilism still. I'm really not. I get what they're saying, but I think they're kind of drawing an A and B construct when that's really not. Just because you don't want some moral code to be your nanny doesn't automatically make you a nihilist. Maybe I'm missing something here. I'd stress that the social meanings, which James Tartaglia steps logically as well as psychologically, require a transcendent context of the meaning of life. He also argues, fails to account that Tartaglia's nihilism fails to account for the possibility that an ultimate meaning of life may not be factual in a prosaic sense, but nevertheless exist and be poetically true, as with creation myths. Tartaglia argues that his interpretation of nihilism relates to its history and the intellectual battles surrounding claims to know a factual reality. He points out the widespread use of the word nihilism and the meaning of life originates in a single decade at the 1700s. During that period, French religious conservatives rallied against almost any form of reasoning and learning. To them, such pursuits risked a descent into nihilism as a result of extinguishing all divine mysteries. The supposedly threatening concept of nihilism often seemed inextricable from atheism or free thinking. Okay, so I see where he's coming from there. How nihilism has been painted into this ugly place because other folks, the religious conservatives that they're mentioning here, have used nihilism as an excuse to not pursue reason and knowledge, which of course is terrible. So I get his point there. I think that's an important factor here when you look at the history behind it. So Tartaglia, interesting stuff. I get you there. I'm on your side here. However, again, I still don't think that means anyone who pursues knowledge and reason is a nihilist. They're still valuing something. All right, so life is the common ground. Tartaglia feels he must defend nihilism from both religious and atheist worldviews, since the latter blah 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 blah. Too many leaders perceive technological advance as a force that must not be allowed. It could go in very bad directions, and that's why nihilism seems worthwhile. On the positive side, Tartaglia argues that nihilistic attitudes offer a potential common ground upon which extremes of religion and secularism could meet, since it dispenses with all their competing claims to an ultimate meaning of life. Life is the common ground. If you're a nihilist, you don't think that anything goes beyond life. If you're not a nihilist, you think there's something extra. I disagree. I mean, if that's his summary, I disagree. If you're a nihilist, you don't think that anything goes beyond life. If you're not a nihilist, you think there's something extra. Okay, but there's still this massive common ground. Fundamentalists on one side or the anti religious brigade, we can all understand each other, right? We can agree all on life. Tartaglia's optimism in this regard might appear out of all proportion with the world's many unending and brutal conflicts over much smaller doctrinal differences between all manner of groups, religious or otherwise. But then a nihilist can dream. Interesting. All right. So I get some of the points he's making. I'm not saying that either one of these philosophers are wrong. There is no like right or wrong in this scenario. We're just discussing ideas and interpreting them in different ways. And I'm sure both of these philosophers, by the way, way freaking smarter than me. I can promise you that. They're both way smarter than me. If we debated this topic, I'd lose. But I wouldn't necessarily be trying to out debate them. I'd just be trying to learn their perspective. I'd be like, this is my understanding of nihilism. They're not necessarily making the case against it. They're not necessarily saying nihilism isn't this. Like nihilism is not attributing value to things, saying life is totally meaningless. They're not necessarily disputing that, but they're saying that in between what they're describing as fundamentalists on one side, anti-religion, religionists on the other, the nihilists can be the meeting in between. But I would say just because you don't have a theist in your life, that doesn't automatically make you a nihilist. Um, yeah, I don't really see the connection there. I just don't. But that's just me. But it's interesting. I think that for those of you who are in the know, Tina Desiree Berg and Tina from the Status Coup, her and I have a philosophy podcast, and we're going to have to do an episode on nihilism. And this article is going to be part of it. This article will be part of it. I don't know when Tina and I are going to do that episode. We're still getting that podcast off the ground. It's called Academy Refugees. We're only 2 episodes deep. We should be dropping the third one soon. We only do it once a month, but we're going to have to do an episode on nihilism. Because yeah, I don't share their optimism towards nihilism, which is an interesting sentence to say out loud. But there you go. So thank you for that, Nina. And I'll have to read more into their perspectives. Because yeah, like why do you need? Yeah, again, I think there's a ton of space between I want some moral authority to tell me everything, and I want no moral authority to tell me anything. And oh well, that just means everything's meaningless and nothing has value. You could still There's still plenty of things that I, as a definitional atheist, find value in. Again, love, nature, music, literature, not having a piece of hair sticking out from my headphones. I see value in not having that. Anyway, but thank you for sharing that. That article's awesome, Dina. Thank you for sharing that. And that's really cool that stuff like that exists on the CBC. See, up in Canada, they have the CBC, which has its flaws, but it's still infinitely better than our media structure in the United States. So they actually do stories like this where they talk to philosophers. Here in the United States, our corporate media would never do anything quite like that. Or if they did, it would be very oversimplified. Usually, what they do is they have discussions on political issues where they'll bring in somebody on the side of corporate interest and somebody also on the side of corporate interest. I saw a debate about net neutrality on NPR once, or I listened to it rather. I didn't see it because it was NPR radio. And on one side of the net neutrality debate, they had a cable lobbyist. On the other side of the net neutrality debate, they had, you guessed it, another cable lobbyist. Does Canada have a perfect media structure? Absolutely not. Is it way better than the United States? Yes. And any press freedom index worth a damn would agree with that sentiment. So thank you for sharing that, Nina. And it must be nice to live in a place that has a somewhat respectable media structure in comparison. Again, not saying Canada's perfect. They're not. They got their own set of problems. But you wouldn't see shit like this from the US media. You just wouldn't. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Now, Edwin, you got something to say this week, and I appreciate this very much. Edwin, you say, thanks for recommending the film Moxie. My wife and I loved it, and sharing the feel-good stories about the Linda Lindas. In the film, I can see why this young punk band got your attention. So good. Yeah, so for everyone not in the know about what Edwin's referring to, the Linda Lindas are a band who they had a video go viral. I believe the song is called Racist Sexist Boy. Their music video went viral. They're a very young punk band out of Los Angeles. I believe they're like 13 or 14. They're very young. And they're Latinx and Asian, and they're an all-female punk band. They're very good. And they were in the film Moxie, which is a film about a girl who starts a zine at her school because her mom, and her mom is played by Amy Poehler, was really heavily involved in the Riot Grrrl movement. It's a fun film. I enjoyed it very much. If you're into that kind of music, or even if you're not, you'll love this film. But especially if you are. I mean, I picked out that film. My wife and I, we take turns picking out the movie. And it was my turn to pick. So I picked that. I just looked like a lot of fun. And it was. It's a great movie. And the other cool part of that story is that the Linda Lindas were in the film Moxie. And this is actually before their video went viral. They were in this film. There was a scene in the film, and I don't want to give too much away, but there was a scene in the film where all the kids are gathered at this event, and there's a band playing, and the Linda Lindas were that band. And I was like, that's really cool. They were playing a Bikini Kill song. And so I looked it up and I found out, oh, they're a real band. And then a couple weeks later, their video went viral. But and the other cool part of that story that I mentioned was that the Linda Lindas were not discovered, but Amy Poehler herself attended a Bikini Kill show in Los Angeles. Like she just went to the show. She's a fan of the band, which is also pretty badass and cool. But the Linda Lindas were opening. So Amy Poehler saw them open for Bikini Kill and put them in her movie. And who knows, maybe Amy Poehler got inspired to write the movie based on going to the Bikini Kill show. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Um, but either way, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool story, and I appreciate. I'm glad you enjoyed that movie, Edwin, and I'm glad your wife enjoyed it too. And please, um, check out the Linda Lindas. And for anybody who is interested in everything I just talked about, the film Moxie. Um, I think it's on Netflix or is it Hulu? I'm not sure, but it's out there in the ethers. You can see it. You can even like just kind of rent it and pay for it. However you get your movies. Um, so Moxie is the film, and the Linda Lindas are the band, and you can see their viral video. I mean, it's everywhere. I tweeted it out. It's everywhere. You can find it online. The Linda Lindas, yeah. Lucky Burrito and Music. I'm gonna start over here at the Rockfin. Lucky Burrito Art and Music, how are you? You should check out my partner's YouTube. He plays music, and we are working on political songs. We will be finishing them up and recording and live streaming them soon. Thank you for all you do. Everett and Leo send their love to Lucy. Thank you so much for that, Everett and Leo. And let me go ahead and mark your YouTube channel there. This is Lucky Burrito Art and Music. Check out their YouTube. And I will definitely do that. Thank you for the link. And make sure you email me when you got more stuff posted. Here, let me check out the link here. And I will have y'all on the show. And we'll do like a Music Monday thing. Y'all know I love Music Monday. Your link doesn't work, by the way. It's not a. I just tried to open the link and I couldn't. It says not found. But once you get your YouTube up and running, please do email me and let me know, and I will feature it on the show. Yeah. So congratulations, Lucky Burrito Art and Music. Thank you for making political protest songs. They're always a good time. Let's see over on the YouTube. Crafty Geek, what's up? Hi, new patron here. Great work, and thanks again for the great Cory Doctorow interview. Thank you, Crafty Geek. Thank you so much for being a patron and for the super chat contribution. You help keep this show on the air. And yeah, I'm so glad you dug the Cory Doctorow interview. I really enjoyed talking to that guy. He was requested by a couple of you. A couple of y'all requested him. And I had heard his name before, but I wasn't very familiar with him. So I looked him up, and right away I realized I was like, oh, I could see why Butchie requested that he be on the show. When it comes to digital rights, he's a heavy hitter in that arena. It's a very niche thing, and he is a very heavy hitter in that arena. He has written books on surveillance capitalism. In fact, he has a book called How to Destroy Surveillance Capitalism that I need to read, by the way. Um, and I love talking to him. We got to about half of what I wanted to talk to him about. He's an incredibly insightful guy. And again, like we're both passionate about a lot of the same issues. So it was a very a very info-packed convo. And we got to about half of what I wanted to talk to him about. And right after the interview ended, I got an email. I got a couple emails from y'all saying, have him back. I will have him back. I don't know how soon. As soon as he's willing to come back, really. But he is a busy guy. But he will definitely be back if he's willing to come back, which he told me he would. But yeah. So thank you for that. I appreciate that very much, Crafty Geek. And yeah, he was a fun guy to talk to. He was a really fun guy to talk to. So there you have it. Cory Doctorow, really fun guy to talk to. No, we'll definitely have him back. That's when you know it's a good interview, when you only get to about half of what you wanted to talk to him about, because they just had so much information to share. And by the way, if you go to that interview, somebody in the comment section, I just looked at this, like, just kind of glanced at it as I was getting the stream ready. So I don't know exactly which video it was under, but I did notice, like, real quickly, somebody in the comments listed every book he recommended. They just listed it out. So, if you don't want to, well, please watch the video. There's a video, and I made a clip out of it, or well, Joe and I made a clip out of it where he just gives a list of books that he recommends. But you don't have to like militantly take notes during that video because someone in the comment section wrote out all the books that he recommended. So it makes it easier. Y'all, I am going to continue on my Sunday here and start my excursions. Nina, Edwin, thank you for this week's topics and for your patronage. You all keep Get Your News On with Ron on the air, and to all the Rockfin Premium members and Patreon members, I cannot do this without you. For everyone watching, I cannot do this without you. You keep this show on the air. Crafty Geek, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. Lucky Burrito Art and Music, thank you very much for the Rockfin tip. And make sure you get me your music when it is finished so I can share it, because that sounds like a lot of fun. Folks, thank you so much for being here. Again, the replay of the stream is only available on Patreon and Rockfin Premium. If you're not a member currently and you want to be one, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Give what you can level. You get the replay of this stream and all patron streams. You get a Zoom show once a week, and you can get your own theme song. Who doesn't need their own theme song? Well, now you can get one, and it's all for a give what you can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way if you're on stable ground and got $1 a month to spare. Patreon.com/Ron Placone, or of course, Rockfin Premium. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy your weekend. We will not have a Get Your News On with Ron stream tomorrow. It's Memorial Day. Not going to do a stream. I'm probably going to get some beach time in, and yeah, I will be doing a podcast for a little bit with Daniel Mate on anti-war songs. So that's going to be happening. That's later in the afternoon, though. But there will be no regular Get Your News On with Ron on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, who is asleep on the couch, woke me up early, but is asleep on the couch. But that's okay. That's okay. She's allowed to do it. She's the best. She is the best. Lucy, Lucy got excited when I was still on the couch watching hockey. Because as some of you may know, the Pittsburgh Penguins lost. They just didn't have it this year. They didn't show up in the series. The Islanders did, and the Islanders beat them. And the Islanders played better. There's no getting around that. Still had a good run. They just didn't gel in the playoffs. What are you going to do? But I think Lucy was excited when I was still watching hockey. I mean, it's like, hey, here I am. I'm still going to watch the series. Still going to be a great series. I'm rooting for the Bruins because my wife is from Massachusetts. The Bruins are her team. And I'm a good husband. I'm going to root for the Bruins. And if the Bruins were out, I would be rooting for the Predators, the Nashville Predators, but they lost. My top three teams, Pittsburgh Penguins, number one, and then Nashville Predators, and then Vancouver Canucks. Those are like my favorite NHL teams. And then around fourth is the Vegas Golden Knights. And then, of course, the Bruins technically the Bruins are second because of my wife. But I'm talking like these were my teams before I met my wife. So I'm rooting for the Bruins now. If the Bruins don't make it, I'm rooting for the Golden Knights. And if it comes down to Bruins Golden Knights, I will be rooting for the Bruins. Again, I'm a good husband. And that's how we'll sign off. Enjoy your holiday weekend, folks. I hope, if you like getting some sun, I hope you do it, or I hope you do something special. I will see you on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow, and I say peace. And let me thank everyone once again. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Edwin, for this week's topics. Thank you, Crafty Geek. Thank you, Lucky Burrito Art and Music. Keep me posted on everything. And yeah, you all know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.